index anywhere from 105 to 110 both Tuesday and Wednesday. More sunshine and a high of 98 yet again for Wednesday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS.
You work hard, follow the rules, and get absolutely slammed by taxes. Your paycheck, taxed. Your property, taxed. Everything you buy, taxed. Missouri's tax system isn't broken, it's rigged against you. The lawyers and lobbyists working for big corporations and the super rich buried over 200 loopholes for themselves in our tax code. While they pay nothing on the services they use, working families are taxed over and over. It's no wonder they're lying about Amendment 5. Our corrupt tax system is rigged in their favor. They're getting a free ride on your back. Don't believe their lies. The truth is, Amendment 5 closes loopholes exploited by the super rich and slashes taxes paid by Missouri's working families, phasing out income taxes and cutting property taxes. They finally pay what they owe while you keep what you earn. Vote yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC.
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty.
The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win election.
Nobody stands up. These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're crazy.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
And so what we've done is put together this incredible Great American State Fair with all 56 states and territories represented with their own pavilions, each showcasing what makes their state unique and contributing to our great republic. We've got a Ferris wheel, we've got great food, we've got rodeos, musical performances, all kinds of great programming here on the mall. So come on out.
And good afternoon and welcome to the Tim Jones Show Independence Day weekend edition, because at the end of this week, we'll have the federal holiday, which will be on Friday the 3rd, the official holiday on Saturday the 4th, and this is our Powder Monkey Show. Indeed, to celebrate all that, we were supposed to be under the big tent today at one of the Powder Monkey locations, but people smarter than us decided that if Chris and Joey and I sat under a tent for about 3 hours, we might melt. And then there'd be workers' comp claims and litigation and all kinds of stuff. So, Chris, we're here in the cool, air-conditioned confines of News Talk STL, but we're going to speak with Chris Sander in just a moment about Powder Monkey.
Excited about that. You know, 4th of July for me was almost like Christmas. We weren't the type of family that bought our fireworks like weeks in advance. We always bought them the day of the 4th of July. And that was just so exciting to me when my father packed me up and we drove to Alton and bought our fireworks. It was just an exciting time. It was almost like Christmas for me, literally. And, you know, hearing that clip coming in about the big fair on the state at the mall reminds me of a few years ago when Becky was in D.C. at the Leadership Council. Tim, I actually got to watch the fireworks on the mall. And that is a heck of an experience. So if you ever get a chance to do that, go to the mall on the 4th of July and watch the fireworks. It felt super patriotic.
I hear this year's are going to be absolutely one-of-a-kind, historic, spectacular. My cousin Sarah, who lives in Virginia, was sending me a bunch of photos from the mall last week. It just looks absolutely amazing with the World's Fair or with the fair on the mall and all this stuff. It's very, very cool. Look, it's not too it's hot outside, but it's not too hot for you to swing by Powder Monkey and pick up some fireworks. We just thought it might be too hot for us to be sitting in there with all kinds of equipment and stuff like that for 3 hours because we might melt. But it is not too hot to head to Powder Monkey, so let's bring in the owner of Powder Monkey Fireworks right now. He is Chris Sander, and he's a former state representative running for office again as well, so we will touch on that too. But first of all, Chris, we want to wish you and yours and everybody who works with you a very happy Independence Week. This is kind of Christmas in July for you all, isn't it?
Merry Christmas in July. Yeah, we're I call a hot day tank top day. So we're outside 24 hours a day at the firework tent in the rain and the beautiful weather. It was like 60s in the morning last week, and it's 98 right now today. So we actually get busier when it's warmer out because people don't realize it's 4th of July when it's 60 degrees out.
That's a good point. Chris, hey, tell us, where are all the Powder Monkey firework locations?
The best way to find us is our website, powdermonkeyfireworks.com, and that'll have our hours and addresses. But there's Highway 94 in Weldon Spring, which is near 364 at Mid Rivers there. It's 5130 Westwood Drive. That one's been there 16 years. And then a new one I opened this year in the north part of St. Charles County on Highway 94 also, but north of 370, 2 miles close to Newtown, St. Charles. It's right at Highway B in 94. And then I have one at Lake of the Ozarks that's sitting there all year, and it's open June 20th to July 10th, but people will shop whenever they feel like there at the lake for Memorial Day, Labor Day, whenever. And that one, if you're heading toward Lake of the Ozarks, you can shop there.
Chris, I got to ask you, what is your best seller at Powder Monkey? And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it is the sparklers are your best seller. Am I wrong there?
Oh, this year we have sparklers that look like the number 250.
Oh, wow.
So you light it, and it's a white sparkler that's 250, and then there's two that come with it. It's a 3-pack. One is a blue flag, and one's a red flag, so it's red, white, and blue sparkler with the 250. But we definitely sell a lot of sparklers. The item we have the most inventory of is 500 grams, which this year, the 4th of July, is on a Saturday, and it's America 250. So the most things people are going to buy is big stuff like artillery shells, the reloadable, and the 500 gram that you would just light once and it goes until it's done, 20, 30 shots, whatever it does. But big stuff on a Saturday, big stuff on America 250. The sparklers are definitely going to sell, and all the kids' snap pops and all that stuff, but that's like the daytime thing, and then right before the show. But yeah, people are going to have a big show with their neighbors and their family, and I think we're going to sell quite a bit of fireworks here in the next week.
Folks, we're speaking with Chris Sander, Powder Monkey Fireworks. They are the official sponsors of this entire show today. PowderMonkeyFireworks.com, PowderMonkeyFireworks.com. Chris, I saw something unique on here that I never even thought of, but since you are you are not just a fly-by-night business, as you mentioned, you are in business year-round. And you're locally owned, independently owned. I noticed you can reserve your order online, so you can actually go to powdermonkeyfireworks.com and shop in the cool comfort of your home and then swing by the store, I guess, and pick things up.
Yeah, we started our online website in 2012, and nobody knew about it until 2020 during COVID, and I think we did like half of our sales were on the website. People would order and then pick it up. They'd sit in their car in the parking lot, and we'd pop the trunk and put it in there. So that was during COVID, and that's done. But people still shop online, mostly like, we close at 10 p.m., and they'll be 2, 3 in the morning ordering fireworks, and then they come pick it up before work or after work on their way to and from driving by, and we have it all ready for them. But, yeah, there's 800 items on the website. There's the 2 tents in St. Charles County. One has about 700 items. The other has 400. And there's actually only 100 items that are in both of the tents. So everything's on the website, but we have too much stuff to put it all in one tent. We have it gets busy with the parking lot. And, you can order online and avoid all that. And it's fun to come into the tent, though, especially if you've done it your whole life, because I used to sell fireworks in West Alton. You were talking about that.
Yeah,
I worked for the competitor for 8 years. I worked in a little yellow shed on the side of the highway that flooded 10 feet every time the river came up. And it was a fun time for high school and college. And then at Mizzou, I was in the first ever entrepreneurship class at Mizzou, and I wrote a business plan for selling fireworks because I did it high school and college, and I started my own in 2008. This year we've got maybe 60 employees, and a lot of them are seasonal, but there's a few year-round. We import directly from China. We paid all the tariffs, and I'll tell you this, today I actually got an ACH in my imports bank account, and I got the tariff refund in a big old lump sum. So I'm like thrilled, happy. We're going to have steak dinner for all the employees tonight, and we'll probably do a great big sale to help reduce the costs for customers someday this week, just to share whatever tariff got refunded, because I know everybody paid it the last year, and that was no fun. But yeah, the tariffs are gone. The prices are better. Our inventory is great. There's no product inventory issues like there was during COVID. Like I said, we have 800 items, and I've never been more ready for the 4th of July. Like you said, I was in the state rep house for 4 years. I lost an election, and that was in Kansas City where I was elected, but I'm from here in St. Charles. So it's probably the best 2 years to take time off at Jeff City, because I spent 2 years getting ready for July 4th, 2026. And I'm ready to go back to Jeff City right after 4th of July. We got election on August 4th and then November. So I've been knocking doors. I knocked 13,000 doors in the last year.
Chris, give us some idea. You brought up tariffs. Give us some idea of what the prices are like this year, from like bottle rockets to sparklers to the big howitzer fireworks that you sell. And let me ask you this, because one of the things that I used to get all the time when I went to the fireworks stand, I got a little package called the Johnny Reb. And the Johnny Reb had everything in it, had about 40 or 50 different types of fireworks, and I didn't have to try to pick them out. You guys still sell the Johnny Reb?
I've got assortments. I've got a guy named Gary that'll help you pick everything out, and there's lots of mass confusion if you come into a tent with 800 items, but Gary makes it easy, and all the people working there, if you say you want sparklers, we'll find it, and if you want Johnny Reb, we'll find something just like it. But yeah, we have assortments. We have lots of stuff for a show. Let's see. Yeah, I would say the most popular item, thought it would be sparklers, but we've got more patriotic items like bald eagles on the packaging, and there's one called Sweet Land of Liberty. I mean, there's probably 3 dozen items. We got a section on the website with just specifically red, white, and blue and America 250 packaging items. So people might not have ever lit fireworks in their life, but this year they want to celebrate. So we're going to help people be safe about doing it, how to light stuff and not get injured, and we'll help you out, everything you need to know to do fireworks. Or if you want to go to the parade and do that too, there's public shows, but a lot of people want to have a show and enjoy time with their family and their neighbors with a nice 3-day work weekend, getting off work either Friday or Monday, having the holiday on a Saturday. You get a 3-day weekend, so I think that's very exciting for a lot of people.
Speaking with Chris Sander, he is the owner of Powder Monkey Fireworks. You can go to powdermonkeyfireworks.com. They've sponsored our entire show today as we head towards the Independence Day 250th anniversary weekend. We thank Chris and Powder Monkey very much for that. Chris, you mentioned that you were a state representative. You're running for state rep again. I know as soon as the fireworks season is over, which is going to be here pretty quickly, you're going to get right back on the campaign trail. You've probably been doing both at the same time. What are you hearing? What are you hearing as you're out electioneering and campaigning around St. Charles?
Yeah, I've knocked 13,000 doors. People complete surveys and send it back to me. I share all the results. But people in St. Charles City, which is District 106 in the House, they don't want data centers. They don't want to pay for the Chiefs to have a new stadium or the Royals to have a new stadium. Or the Cardinals if they want to get one, but they would like to have lower tax burden for them, individuals, rather than a tax credit to people that own billionaire sports teams, and they want to have lower taxes, property taxes, knock a lot of doors today. Actually, I did this morning. I put out like 50-yard signs and some 3x6s, 4x8s, because it was a Monday and it's not quite busy at the tent yet. So I actually got to do that this morning, and folks were really happy to see me out and about. But yeah, we're campaigning, and well, I feel good about it. Just being surveying people, they don't want the data centers. They want a water supply, because in St. Charles we don't have enough water wells or water supply for our city, and the Historic Society on Main Street didn't have a place to be in the building for a year. I worked with them about a year ago, even though I'm not elected right now, but I can help them do things. They found a way to stay on their place on Main Street. So there's lots of things that happen in the district, and I'm not going to talk bad about my opponent on the radio, but I would say I would be a lot of help. I was on the budget committee, served for 4 years on budget, and I was able to be part of finding the way to pay for Highway 70 from what was my district in Kansas City and Blue Springs, where the highway went from 4 lanes to 6 lanes. And then my family and my church and my business here in St. Charles, I drive back and forth on 70 a lot. It's a major improvement to have it become 6 lanes with a concrete median to save lives and make the highway safer and smoother and less potholes and more truck traffic. And it's going to be huge to have Highway 70. But being on the budget committee, most states can't find $7 billion to do things like that, but I was able to be part of that. But my opponent likes to give away tax credits to new stadiums and empty office buildings in downtown St. Louis, like the AT&T building and whatever. People buy those buildings that are empty for pennies on the dollar, and then they get hundreds of millions in tax credits. But if we could just focus on paying for what Missouri needs to do for individuals, then we could balance our budget and not have a deficit. Chris, that's what I want to be a part of. I think it takes being a business owner to be smart about money and numbers.
Chris, let me ask you this before we close out this segment. We're going to talk to you again next hour at around 5:43. We get a couple of these stories a year. I want to get your thoughts on these Darwin Award winners that try to manufacture their own fireworks in their own home and end up blowing up themselves and the neighborhood.
Right. The thought on that, I mean, there's like one place in the world that makes fireworks for consumers, and that's China. They've done that for 4,000 years, and it takes a city of about 3 to 5 million people to make whatever is used for consumers worldwide. There's accidents in China, and they've been doing it for 4,000 years. If there's somebody just decides one day to start making them in their house, there's definitely going to be accidents. And you don't want to support a business like that, whoever's doing things illegal, because that needs to stop. I would call the state fire marshal, the ATF. I take it seriously if people share with me what is being done that's illegal. People selling stuff out of the garage, even if it's just consumer stuff. They need to have, safety in mind for anybody coming there, selling out of a house or a basement or garage. Like, that's not the way to do handling of hazardous materials. It's a serious business, and we don't want injuries, and we want everybody to have a safe holiday. So that's a bad news story whenever something like that happens. But they need to leave it to the experts, and it could happen here in America if they want to make fireworks here. Missouri would be the place to do it, because Missouri is actually the farthest place in the world from China that consumes a lot of fireworks. So I think we could do it here. We just updated our state laws on fireworks in August last year.
Indeed.
Probably 1,500 to 2,000 tents in Missouri.
Wow.
There's a lot of places the fire marshal needs to inspect. So.
Well, leave it to the experts. Leave it to the experts like Chris Sander and the good folks at Powder Monkey. Chris, we're going to touch base with you near the end of the program to get another quick hit with you. So thank you so much for sponsoring the station and the show today. And we'll look forward to speaking with you at 5:45 today again.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you as well. PowderMonkeyFireworks.com. 3 locations, Weldon Spring, St. Charles off of Highway 94, and Lake of the Ozarks. You want to find the exact locations, just go to PowderMonkeyFireworks.com. And I'm looking forward to shooting off some fireworks this weekend as well.
I am too. You know what my first question is going to be for him next hour?
What's that?
How did you come up with the name Powder Monkey?
We probably should have asked him that. Yeah, we're going to have to
Very curious about
figure out where that came from.
Before we go to break, too, last week, of course, we had our big birthday party, fifth year celebration. Got to give a shout out to my man, Eric. Met him at the big birthday party, and he wanted me to give him a shout out. So, Eric, here is your shout out, my friend. Thank you for coming out. It was great to meet you.
Thank you to everyone for celebrating with us. And as you've heard throughout the day on the station today, we're going to have a whole bunch of giveaways and other special stuff occurring during the month of July, which is our official birthday month. So that is straight ahead, along with Gym Talent, Chris's Corner, the Speaker's Stump Speech, Susie Moore, and then we'll touch base once more with Chris Sander. It's the Powder Monkey Show today here on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Next up, Gym Talent on what's going on in the Middle East. Is there an end to the conflict, or are the missiles going to start flying again? The good senator will give us his prognostications next here at 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. First Alert weather days all week for the intense and dangerous heat. This heat wave is going to last through Saturday. A cold front's going to try to push in by Sunday. Until then, a low of 77 and a high of 98. A little hotter, actually, for Tuesday. Sunny skies and a heat index anywhere from 105 to 110, both Tuesday and Wednesday. More sunshine and a high of 98 yet again for Wednesday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Looking to celebrate the 4th of July with a bang? Then look no further than Powder Monkey Fireworks. We've got bottle rockets, fountains, cakes, mortars. Our selection is endless with low prices and no gimmicks. Our friendly, knowledgeable staff will help you choose the perfect fireworks to make your holiday unforgettable. You'll go bananas at Powder Monkey, Highway 94 in St. Charles, on Westwood in Weldon Spring, and on Brendel in Rocky Mount. Don't want to fight the crowds? Order online at PowderMonkeyFireworks.com.
Walker just gave the Cardinals the lead. Home run! Mason Wynn to his feet. He throws. He got
St. Louis, it's time to hit the ballpark. ATL meets STL when the Cardinals take on the Atlanta Braves at Busch Stadium, July 10th through the 12th. Plus, score great weekend giveaways, including a garage shirt and a kid's jersey. Don't miss 3 days of summer baseball, family fun, and Cardinals action. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com/promotions.
Relive the magic of 2006 on Saturday, July 11th, when the Cards play the Braves at Busch Stadium. That night, fans will take home a David Eckstein bobblehead presented by Mid-America Transplant. This giveaway celebrates his unforgettable World Series MVP performance and scrappy plays that defined a championship run. Don't miss your chance to add this classic to your collection. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com/promotions.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Bill, that's a big smile for an old politician.
I'm thinking about our plan. It's slick enough to make a lobbyist blush. First, we hoodwink voters with Amendment 5. Tell them it's a tax cut. Once they're hooked, we decide who pays the higher taxes.
So it's not a tax cut plan, and we don't get a say?
Right, just swaps who pays the tax, but it does remove 3 voter-passed taxpayer constitutional protections. That lets us levy new taxes on services, increase sales taxes, and even tax home sales. And voters will no longer get to vote on tax hikes.
Higher sales taxes on groceries, gas, service taxes on doctor visits, childcare, and even rent on apartments. Jeez. taxes could exceed 20%.
Sure, they figure that up to 80% of taxpayers will pay more taxes. Many, hundreds more. Seniors, they'll get hit even harder. But our big donors will cut a fat hog.
The ones getting butchered by Amendment 5 are most taxpayers. I'm voting no on 5.
Paid for by Missourians for fair taxation.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
This morning, the US and Iran appear to have pressed pause after a weekend of escalating strikes. US Central Command releasing grainy videos saying it hit Iranian missile and drone storage sites and radar locations. President Trump had vowed to respond after Iran hit a ship trying to pass through the Strait of Hormuz outside Iranian waters Thursday.
You're going to find out.
Former U.S. Senator Jim Talent and chairman of the Reagan Institute.
I'm watching this and just wondering, who's running the show.
This Jim Talent segment is brought to you by Royal Banks of Missouri.
Senator, good afternoon and happy 4th of July.
Yes, same to you guys.
Come on, we need more. We need a little more excitement than that, Senator.
It is coming up, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, we're still, close to a week away, my friend. I mean, Yes, but I hope everybody enjoys the 4th greatly.
And be safe.
You guys going to do the fireworks thing?
We don't know. Our show this week, today, is sponsored by Powder Monkey, a fireworks distributor. And so, maybe you'll give us a couple of cents off and spend more than I had planned.
Well, I should tell you what we used to do when I was a kid. Since the statute of limitations has run, we would buy these firecrackers, strip them open, collect the powder, and then try and make bigger bombs. Had a hollowed out. Remember one time we had a hollowed out table leg, stuffed it with gunpowder, and put a marble at the end of it. My dad never found out, but man, we had quite a blast with that, literally.
Yeah, I used to.
By the way, don't try this at home if you're listening to this.
I used to put frogs in a container and put 2 or 3 fireworks in there and blow it up and see what happened to it. But hopefully the PETA people, hopefully the PETA people aren't listening.
We never attacked human beings, or we never attacked each other except with some bottle rocket fights.
All right, Senator, you heard that latest news about there was a little skirmish over the weekend between Iran and the United States. They are supposed to meet tomorrow in Doha, Qatar, to try to finalize a final deal. I got to tell you, I personally believe that the Iranians know that we have midterm elections coming up, and they know the president. The last thing he wants to do is to get into a full-fledged kinetic action, to use the technical word. So I think that's why they are testing this deal the way they are. Your thoughts?
Well, they think they have some leverage there. You notice where oil is. It's around $70 a barrel, which is about where we wanted it, and it's going to go down further. The MOU as a tactic has succeeded. I mean, look, I'll say what I said last week, which is their whole strategy of the last 20 years is in shambles, and their capabilities have been eviscerated. They've lost hundreds and hundreds. I mean, I would say $1 trillion. I'm trying to pin that down, how much they've lost, and their economy's on its knees for a lot of reasons, and they need money. The only thing they've got is their leverage over the strait, and I don't think they have that anymore. The ships are moving, even though they are shooting occasionally. I think the psychological hold on the shipping companies has been broken, and they're just decided, you know what, we're going to put our big boy pants on and send the ships through. And so we responded the way I thought we would. It was a good, strong response, but it was not designed to escalate, because the idea here is to get a pause. We're going to do these negotiations. Maybe they'll surprise us and actually be reasonable, but if they don't, we're going to just solidify the military wins we've had and then manage the region thereafter. And you're seeing that already happening, for example, in Lebanon. So everybody on both sides, in particular the Hawks, and I'm a Hawk, who was concerned about this MOU. I mean, they need now to get a grip. I think it was the right thing at the right time. And we've got the Iranians where we want them. Now, we still have to manage that region, and it's never easy. But what was a very significant threat has just become a problem that I think we can handle, and that's a real success.
Mm-hmm. Senator, so what cloudy crystal ball I'm asking here for, your speculation into how this may play out. I mean, it seems like we've traded the varsity team in Iran for like maybe not even the JV team. I think we're down to the C team now. Do you think the Iranians who are now in charge are going to just continue down the path of the last 47 years? Or have you seen any indication that they actually want to maybe go a more peaceful route?
Tim, I think they're going to focus, and they are focusing now, very much on regime security because they've never been less secure at home. So I think they're going to try and get enough money to pay their fighters and to pay their security apparatus. And then they're going to look around for some way to try and rebuild or substitute some new strategy. Because, again, everything they've been trying for the last 20 years is in the junker. Now, I thought as of the time of the protests in January before the war that the fall of the regime was inevitable, but probably not imminent. And one of the reasons is the technology of repression has improved to the point where it is easier to hold down a population even when you have no legitimacy. But Iran is a big country with a sophisticated people who hate this regime. We saw this in the protests across all classes, all groups. And so I think they'll probably stagger on along a while. I don't think they're gonna cave on our terms, but I think we're going to be able to deal with the situation, keep them bottled up, and eventually they're going to fall. I'm determined to live to see it too, and I'm pretty old, so I don't think it's going to be forever.
Speaking with former U.S. Senator and chairman of the Reagan Institute's National Leadership Council, Senator, the Reagan Institute released their summer survey over the weekend, and according to the poll, 72% of Republicans under 30, want the U.S. to be more engaged and lead on international events. Does this surprise you?
No, not really, because I always thought the press was overplaying this idea of some big split in our coalition. And you're right. I mean, younger voters, they want America engaged. They want America leading. They want a strong military. They see the threat from China. They're supportive of the war in Iran. Now, the majorities are very big, somewhat less than among older MAGA people, but not a lot. And generally speaking, I think they're more for tactics that show restraint rather than military action, but there's still substantial majorities for that where necessary. And I think the reason is they've seen all they've seen in terms of our warfighting efforts abroad until this conflict was negative, right? So they don't have a lot of confidence in that. No, it was very encouraging, but I can't say it was very surprising. You know what's interesting about another interesting thing about that survey? It found a slight majority approval among the population as a whole for the Iran mission, and even 31% of Democrats support it. So, I mean, don't believe. I mean, look, we just have to be careful about believing what we see on social media along all these lines. There's 65% support for Israel among the American people, and even a majority of Democrats still do. Now, not these progressives, not the socialists that you're seeing in New York, but that's not all Democrats.
Senator, I saw an interesting headline kind of to dovetail off of that definitely cautions us to be careful about what we're hearing, whether it's from media sources around the world or even right here in our backyard. I wanted to ask you about this other aspect of warfare, right? I think a lot of us think, oh, it's just bombs and tanks and jets and planes and boats. But we always have to remember that, no, it's also cyber and AI and that whole new world as well. And, Senator, this headline caught my attention today. Iran targets U.S. with psychological warfare campaign to manipulate Americans and embarrass Trump. So the wars these days are fought in all kinds of surrounds, including coming right into your living room on your laptop computer, right?
Yeah. The experts call that the cognitive domain. I call it the narrative domain. And the Iranians are doing pretty well there. In other words, they're good at, the old word is propaganda. And social media offers opportunities for that. So do a lot of people, in our country who, for partisan reasons, will, support this stuff because they're trying to undermine the president. I mean, there's no question that that's happening. Now, the problem that the Iranians have got is that words really don't create reality. So the facts on the ground are exactly as I've stated them before. I mean, the correlation of forces has shifted decisively in our direction. On this Lebanon, let me just give you an example of this Lebanese agreement. So, and I'll be quick with it. So the problem in Lebanon is that Hezbollah has been a state within a state for decades. They're a terrorist group funded, supported, armed by Iran, and they have controlled the state of Lebanon for decades, and they've used it as a launching pad to attack the rest of the region. Well, they're not able to do that anymore nearly as effectively, and so because they've been weakened so much, and because people throughout the region have confidence in the leadership of the United States, we got for the first time this agreement whereby Lebanon agrees to work with Israel in disarming Hezbollah, where the Lebanese say, this is the official government, it says, they don't represent us, they're not defending us, they're a tool of Iran, and we want them out. It's an enormous step forward. Now, we're going to have to implement it, and one of the things that they're doing now is setting up some pilot zones within the areas that Israel has occupied, and the Lebanese armed forces are going to be responsible for policing those areas. So the IDF is going to hold their hands and help them. And all of this really is a result of the leadership of the United States and the confidence that people throughout the region have in it. And this is why, again, like with the MOU, you have to understand the president is managing. I mean, he's being an honest broker managing a coalition, and the Gulf states are in that coalition. The Lebanese government is now, and so is Israel. But there are tensions, and the president's got to act like an honest broker, which is what he's doing here. But what that all says is that we are exercising the leadership role in the region, which is good, obviously, for us, but for everybody as well.
Senator, you have served in the State House. You've served in the United States House of Representatives. You've also served as a United States Senator. You have been in politics for 40-plus years. You are a senior statesman now. I want to get your thoughts on what happened in New York on Tuesday night. Have you ever seen anything like this, and what's your thoughts?
Boy, you've reminded me how old I am. Next time I look in the mirror and see the bags underneath my eyes, I'm going to think of Chris Arps. So anyway, it's not all that surprising, actually. This is the hard left, and they're good at capturing institutions, and they're trying to capture the Democratic Party. Now, I'm encouraged to see some Democrats starting to speak up. Rahm Emanuel, James Carville did. But they're a little bit late, to the game. And one of the problems that more moderate left of center people have, it's an old French expression. I can't do it in French, but they have this mentality that there are no enemies to the left. Well, there are enemies to the left, and we're seeing it now in these New York primaries. They're taking over the party in these deep blue areas, and I think we're going to see it happening now. In the late 80s, early 90s, there was a movement, and Clinton was involved in that. Dick Gebhardt was, and they moved the party back to the center. And I expect to see that happen if they continue to lose elections. The danger is, and I say this to my moderate friends because I really believe it. I mean, it's an argument for voting Republican, but I absolutely believe it from their perspective. The best thing they could do to get a party back that is a moderate and sensible left of center party is to deliver a couple of electoral pastings in a row. That will empower the moderates in the party, and they'll get it back. And you're right, I have been around a long time. I saw that in the 80s and 90s, and I hope it happens again.
And that is Jim Talent, former U.S. Senator and chairman of the Reagan Institute's National Leadership Council. On X, he's at Jim Talent. Senator, thank you as always for your time. And we hope you have a great weekend and 4th of July. And we'll speak with you on Monday.
Yeah, and seriously, I do want to wish everybody a happy 4th. You reminded me that the 4th is going to come before our next conversation.
Exactly.
So it's quite appropriate. Let's all celebrate the 250th anniversary of the greatest country in the history of the world. I know you guys believe that. I believe it. Your listeners believe it. We got problems. We have to keep being vigilant and keep fighting, but that's been true for every American generation. So let's celebrate this weekend.
Thank you, Senator. All right, Chris's Corner, it's 443, excuse me. Tim, you've heard this story about 455 people, including doctors, have been charged with Medicare fraud.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've got a Chris's Corner I'm going to do, and the title is When Medical Fraud Becomes a Matter of Life and Death. That's coming up. Then we'll have the Speaker Stump Speech at 5:06.
It's not too late to save America.
And then we'll speak with Susie Moore, Deputy Managing Editor at RedState.com. We'll get her thoughts on some of the big Supreme Court decisions that happened today. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. First Alert weather days all week for the intense and dangerous heat. This heat wave is going to last through Saturday. The cold front's going to try to push in by Sunday. Until then, a low of 77 and a high of 98. A little hotter, actually, for Tuesday. Sunny skies and a heat index anywhere from 105 to 110, both Tuesday and Wednesday. More sunshine and a high of 98 yet again for Wednesday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
On the next,
Larry Connors, USA.
The story behind the story, the times I've been involved in self-censorship, numerous times in my career.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Yes, our nation celebrates 250 years this weekend, and Royal Banks, Missouri has been around since 1964, 62 years, and they are very proud to be your local community bank. They have locations in St. Louis, St. Charles, Southern Illinois, even up in Northeast Missouri. And I tell you, what I love most about Royal Banks is they've got that hometown feel, but they've made banking incredibly convenient. Their local team is ready to partner with you at any stage of your financial journey, whether you're just getting started or you're planning your next big move. And here's the game changer. I tell you about them all the time. They're ITMs. They're interactive teller machines. No more rushing to beat bank hours. You can connect with a real Royal Banks employee, even in the evenings and on Saturdays. Whether it's a deposit, a payment, or just getting help, it's simple, secure, and you're still talking to a real person you can trust. That's the difference with a true community bank, and that's what Royal Banks is. Visit them online today at royalbanksofmo.com, royalbanksofmo.com to find an ITM near you and learn more. Royal Banks of Missouri, investing in our communities, one client at a time. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here. to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson. Mario's Donut Restaurant, that's your place to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From mouth-watering sandwiches, omelets, delicious gyros, and Mexican dishes, to their revamped menu with cannolis, tiramisu, baklava, and danishes. And don't forget those famous donuts. Dine in or carry out, Mario's friendly staff is ready to serve you with love and care. Mention Newstalk STL when you visit, or just visit mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
Hi, Sandy. What's that? I'm reading up on this Amendment 4 on the August ballot. What's 4? Amendment 4 absurdly creates a new un-American minority veto power, but only for ballot issues that we citizens put on the ballot. Don't they say it'll protect conservative ideas? Truth gets in the way of their story. Amendment 4 would mean as few as 5% of the most liberal statewide voters in one congressional district could veto any good conservative idea or reform, even when a big majority supports it. That does sound un-American. How did that get on the ballot? The politicians put it there, and it would empower a small minority of liberals. They could stop funding for police, stop tax cuts, or any other common-sense conservative policy we support. Only 5%? One district? That would make it nearly impossible to pass needed reforms or rein in politicians. Yep, Amendment 4 is a misguided power grab by politicians. I'm voting no on Amendment 4. Right. I'm not giving up my constitutional rights. It's a hard no on 4.
Paid for by Missourians for Fair Governance.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Today, we are here to announce the results of the 2026 National Healthcare Fraud Takedown. This announcement marks the greatest combined federal and state effort in combating healthcare fraud in history. These individuals participated in healthcare fraud schemes involving over $6.5 billion in false claims submitted to Medicare, Medicaid, and other healthcare programs.
Chris.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And now, Chris's Corner.
When medical fraud becomes a matter of life and death, medical fraud is usually talked about in dollars. How much was billed? How much did taxpayers lose? How much did insurance companies pay? But this story reminds us that medical fraud is not just paperwork. It's not just a billing code. It can become a matter of life and death. The Justice Department just announced a massive national healthcare fraud takedown, 455 defendants, including 90 doctors and licensed medical professionals accused in schemes involving more than $6.5 billion in false claims. One case stands out, though. Federal prosecutors say Dr. Jason Finkelstein, a Texas cardiologist, was involved in an alleged $89 million cardiovascular testing scheme targeting college student athletes. These students and their families were told the test could help detect the dangerous heart conditions. But according to the indictment, diagnoses were allegedly falsified. Tests were billed as medically necessary, and results were rubber-stamped instead of carefully reviewed. And then came the tragedy. According to prosecutors, one student athlete had abnormal cardiac test results. The doctor allegedly marked the results as normal after assessing dozens of images for only seconds. The student was cleared to play and later died of sudden cardiac arrest. That is horrifying. Because when a doctor signs his name, people trust that signature. Parents trust it, coaches trust it, young athletes trust it. A doctor's signature is supposed to mean someone looked, someone cared, someone used their training to protect the patient. But prosecutors say this was not medicine, it was a money machine. And this is where the story gets bigger than one doctor. This is about what happens when medicine becomes transactional, when government programs and insurance companies become targets, and when patients become billing opportunities. Yes, fraud steals from taxpayers. Yes, it drives up insurance costs. Yes, it drains Medicare, Medicaid, veterans programs, and private insurers. But the human cost is worse. A young man is dead. A family is grieving. And if the allegations are true, the warning signs were sitting right there in the chart. This is why accountability matters, not just for street criminals, not just for politicians, not just for corporate executives. Doctors, hospitals, testing companies, billing consultants, anyone who abuses trust in the healthcare system should face serious consequences. Because healthcare fraud is not a victimless crime. It steals money. It corrupts medicine. It endangers patients. And in this case, prosecutors say it may have cost a young athlete his life. We need a healthcare system where doctors are healers, not invoice machines. And we need to remember this: when fraud enters the exam room, patients are no longer being treated, they are being used. That is Chris's Corner, and I ask you to follow me on X at Chris_Arps and on Facebook at Christopher Arps Politics. Thank you very much.
Well done. One of your lines there really stuck with me because I think a lot of times we think, oh, this is just zeros and ones. This is just dollars and cents. And as you pointed out, yes, but it's also life and death, this type of fraud.
I mean, his doctor wasn't even looking at the charts. He was just signing off on it because they were billing Medicare for it. And I heard more about this story. You know, your heart is usually the size of your fist. This kid's heart was the size of, they said, a baseball. I don't even know how that even fits, or not a baseball, but a basketball. I don't even know how that even fits in your chest.
I don't either.
But his heart was 3-4 times what the normal size is. And no doubt this kid would still be alive if the doctor would have actually looked at the chart, alerted his parents that he needs not to play sports, that he needs medical attention now. You know, Tim, you're a litigator. You're an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
This family is should reap a whole lot of money from this, and of course, that money won't bring back their son. But this is just absolute negligence. This is a death that didn't have to be.
Yeah, they'll always have that massive hole in their lives, and no amount of money can replace that. The money is meant to, number one, try to prevent this from ever happening again. And, you know, when we say, as people on the center-right side of the political spectrum, that we root out and stamp out waste, fraud, and abuse, it's not because we're mean.
Yeah.
It's because this is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
When the waste, fraud, and abuse exists, it takes the attention off of the people who truly deserve the help, and it puts nefarious actors in many nefarious situations, and all kinds of bad things happen.
Yeah.
And you know, the Democrats, Chris, they would probably agree that this was a bad thing, but they're the party that does nothing about it, you know? They're like, oh, yeah, waste, fraud, and abuse is horrible. Okay, how many bills have you Democrats filed to, like, deal with that? None, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and, you know, this Medicare fraud may hit close to home here soon. Who knows? There are, I'm not going to say any names, of course, but there are a lot of rumors that are flying around about a prominent doctor here in St. Louis that may be involved in some Medicare fraud himself. Only time will tell if that's the case. But if he is, I mean, he is just as negligent as these 455 people in Florida that have been busted. And I think this is nationwide, but a group of them, I think 11 people in Florida, I think that's where a lot of the fraud happened monetarily.
The numbers are astounding. They're meteoric. And when the Medicaid or Medicare dollars, when they're not used for people who truly qualify for them, and they're just used for any Tom, Dick, or Harry, or worse yet, they're not used for any person whatsoever, right? They're just used to pad the pockets of people. That damages the whole system. And it makes people wonder if the whole thing's going to come crumbling down.
I mean, when you go to a doctor, you're putting your life in his hands.
Yes.
This person is trained. He knows what he's talking about. What he tells me, I'm probably going to do. And for this person just not sign off on this and just sign off on this and this kid dies, it's a horrible, horrible situation. All right, we've got the Speaker's Stump Speech. It's not too late to save America.
Indeed.
Okay.
Going to talk about some of the national stuff and tie it into some very important election concerns, Chris, here at home.
And then we'll speak with Susie Moore about the Supreme Court cases that we haven't had a chance to really dive into much. And at the end of the show, Tim, Nancy Pelosi has a new gig lined up after she gets out of Congress. I'll tell you all about that at the end of the show. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL, number one for live and local conservative talk.
Too much monkey business for me to be involved. feel it every time you check out. Prices up, paychecks stretched, families squeezed. That's why Ann Wagner's fighting to get government off your back and out of your way. Wagner passed the largest tax cut in American history, expanded child tax credits, ended taxes on tips, overtime, and Social Security. And Wagner is working to lower costs so families keep more of their hard-earned money. But Ann Wagner knows delivering for Missouri means more than just protecting their wallets. It means protecting our streets as well. That's why Wagner fought to secure our border, deport dangerous illegal aliens, partner with law enforcement, and put predators behind bars and off our streets so our neighborhoods and communities stay safe. Because real effective leadership protects what matters most: your money, your family, your safety. Ann Wagner for Congress.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
Let's get real. Here's the truth about eliminating Missouri's income tax.
I'm here with Dennis Ganal, founder and CEO of Mo Tax Relief Now. So, Dennis, we're talking Amendment 5. Why should grandparents, seniors care about this?
Well, too many of our children and grandchildren leave Missouri for states like Tennessee with better opportunities and lower taxes. Amendment 5 helps Missouri become more competitive so future generations can stay, work, and raise their families here.
Okay, so it's about money, but it's also about keeping families together?
That's right, family and financial security. Seniors want to keep more of their retirement income and stay close to their children and grandchildren. Amendment 5 protects taxpayers and helps Missouri compete with states that aren't taxing income. Keep your family together. Keep your money. Axe the tax. Vote yes on Amendment 5.
Learn more at afpmissouri.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL.
And
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The Supreme Court releasing decisions on court cases prior to the summer recess. Correspondent Laura Winters on the results of a case involving the Fed.
On this ruling, a defeat for President Trump as the High Court rejects his attempt to fire a member of the Federal Reserve Board. She's faced accusations of mortgage fraud. The justice's ruling, Lisa Cook, should first be able to respond to the allegations, which she denies, before she's let go. Chief Justice Roberts writing the president cannot remove a member of the Fed at any time for any reason without any notice. It was a 5-4 decision, with conservative Brett Kavanaugh joining Roberts and the court's 3 liberal justices. Laura Winters reporting.
A heat wave will blast the eastern part of the U.S. this week.
Temperatures rising ahead of the July 4th holiday will feel hotter because of the high humidity with it. So says the National Weather Service. Officials also say several days of high temperatures will settle in across the lower Great Lakes and the Mid-Atlantic. In addition, high temps will reach the Mississippi and Ohio River valleys.
That's correspondent Andrew Stewart. Temperatures will reach well into the 90s and low 100s. Forecasters urge people to stay hydrated and in air-conditioned places if possible. The death toll from Venezuela's devastating back-to-back earthquakes now stands at more than 1,700 people. Town Hall News and our parent company Salem Media are partnering with Christian nonprofit Food for the Poor to rush emergency aid to victims of this tragedy. Listeners wanting to help can find an online banner at the top of our website at srnnews.com. On Wall Street, the Dow by 306 points, the Nasdaq rose 522, the S&P 500 advanced by 86. More at townhall.com.
Hey, I'm not one to say I told you so, but do you remember last year when I told you that Pure Talk was hands down the best wireless company that I'd ever used? Well, some of you were skeptical, but Consumer Reports just asked 120,000 people to rate every wireless company in America, including the big boys. Well, guess which company was the only company to get 5 stars in every category? Yeah, Pure Talk. Coverage, support, value, data. 5 stars across the board. No service contracts, no cancellation fees, just great U.S. customer service on a crazy fast 5G network for a fraction of what you've been paying. I'm not going to say I told you so, but I will encourage you one more time to dial pound 250, say micro, and switch to a 5-star American wireless company that won't let you down. Pure.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. First Alert weather days all week for the intense and dangerous heat. This heat wave is going to last through Saturday. The cold front's going to try to push in by Sunday. Until then, a low of 77 and a high of 98. A little hotter, actually, for Tuesday. Sunny skies and a heat index anywhere from 105 to 110, both Tuesday and Wednesday. More sunshine and a high of 98 yet again for Wednesday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
When you count on Connor, you're getting the timeless American values that have guided our company from day one. Hard work, impeccable service, and honesty. At Connor Roofing, you aren't just getting a roof, you're getting safeguarded by a neighbor who cares. When you count on Connor, you're receiving protection for your home, your family, and your peace of mind.
Visit ConnorRoofing.com.
Tired of being the main course at your own backyard barbecue? Well, meet the Mosquito SWAT Team, a locally owned, family-run business right here in St. Louis. Every member is a licensed technician who custom mixes your treatment on site, built for your property and your family. Synthetic, all-natural, or botanical, and we never lock you into a contract. Take back your backyard. Call or text us 314-861-0096. That's 314-861-0096.
Looking to celebrate the 4th of July with a bang? Then look no further than Powder Monkey Fireworks. We've got bottle rockets, fountains, cakes, mortars. Our selection is endless with low prices and no gimmicks. Our friendly, knowledgeable staff will help you choose the perfect fireworks to make your holiday unforgettable. You'll go bananas at Powder Monkey, Highway 94 in St. Charles, on Westwood in Weldon Spring, and on Brendel in Rocky Mount. Don't want to fight the crowds? Order online at powdermonkeyfireworks.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now. They just cheat at any cost to win elections.
Nobody stands up. These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're crazy.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
I think it's also fair to say created a crisis at the southern border.
Biden did, with how he handled the...
the Biden administration did a bad job at the border.
Well, there's a Democratic senator admitting that the Biden administration epically screwed up, and that was Mark Kelly from Arizona. Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show here on the last 2 days of June 29th, 2026, as we head towards the Independence Day weekend. Chris, I wish they would have said such things maybe during the Biden administration's
Tim, I think
tenure.
it's official now. It's safe to throw Joe Biden under the bus, and we've been seeing that from a lot of Democratic politicians since Joe Biden is out of office. Very interesting. Yesterday, they had former Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, who is the Homeland Security Director, on. He was on the CNN show, and Jake Tapper was trying to hem him up, saying, well, you know, these people are going back to Haiti. Haiti's not safe. Even our State Department says that it's not a safe place to go. How can you basically send these people back to Haiti? And he had a good answer. He said, well, that State Department memo that you see, that's for Americans that are traveling to Haiti, not for Haitians. And he made a good point also, is like, look, these people have been here for years now. They can still apply for asylum while they're here as long as they don't haven't committed a crime or have a felony record. And he also made a good case that maybe these folks can go back to Haiti and help rebuild their country. They've had a good life here in the United States. They've learned capitalism, hopefully. Maybe those are the type of folks you need going back into that situation to help rebuild the country.
Yeah, do you notice how the media never focuses or addresses or even mentions the millions of people that are admitted to this country legally every year, the hundreds of thousands of asylum seekers whose petitions are granted? They act like it's either illegal immigration or no immigration at all.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of legal immigration. There's people from all over the world that gain entry into the United States of America. They just do it the right way.
I mean, Tim, the earthquake in Haiti happened in 2011. It's 2026. When did temporary become 15 years?
That's the other thing, too. They take a government program, right? This is the problem with government programs. Even the ones that are look, there is some government. I'm not an anarchist, right? I like as little government as possible. But there's some government programs that are created that have all the best intentions behind them, right? And they're supposed to address a problem. The problem, Chris, is, as I think Ronald Reagan once said, government programs never seem to ever go away, right? Yeah. They once they address their original purpose, they then start morphing and spiderwebbing into all kinds of other areas. The Department of Education here in Missouri is a perfect example. Our Department of Education was originally designed, you know what it was designed to do? One thing. It was supposed to take the money in from the foundation formula and then distribute it out to the school districts. That's it. Now it's involved in every aspect of bureaucracy, and it doesn't really, with education, but it doesn't really do anything to improve education.
And Ohio Governor Mike DeWine was on the Sunday shows yesterday, Tim. He was kind of making me angry because Ohio has a lot of these Haitian refugees living in Ohio. And he was making the case last week and on the Sunday shows that a lot of these Haitians are working in nursing homes. They're working in healthcare, hospitals, things of that nature, and that this will destroy Ohio's economy if we send these folks home. But
here we go again.
Yeah, but my thought is, well, that just leaves more openings for Americans to do those jobs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not making a great case that they should stay here because they're working in the healthcare system and doing these jobs. I mean, those are jobs that Americans could be doing. I mean, that's the way I looked at it.
If you really want to increase your blood pressure, go and which you should from time to time, get your passion up, get your blood boiling. Go back and listen to the Allman Report this afternoon. Jamie played a bunch of the clips of Mike DeWine saying, I had the same feeling you did. I was about to throw the radio out the window, but I didn't because I wanted to hear what Jamie had to say next, And Jamie made that exact point. He said, okay, so wait a minute. So we're supposed to give all these jobs to temporary workers who have now been here for decades, and we're not supposed to then have these jobs filled by actual Americans, actual Hispanic Americans, white Americans, black Americans, but we're supposed to give them to temporary workers?
Yeah, last time I checked, we have a 4.3 unemployment rate, right?
Yeah.
3% is considered full employment. So we got about 1.3% of the population that's looking for jobs. So
it's probably about a million,
exactly.
million or two.
So,
yeah.
I've got compassion. I understand Haiti's not the greatest place to live. And, they came here under a horrific situation of an earthquake. But, I mean, we've got high unemployment here. And we have Americans that are looking for work. And, as Donald Trump says, America first.
Yeah, indeed. And, just to show we're a compassionate nation, Chris, we hear story after story of people of Americans who go in hordes down to Haiti voluntarily to help. And we had that horrific story about one of our own state reps, Ben Baker, who lost his daughter in a horrible nighttime raid, and her husband. And so Americans literally put their lives on their lines, not just for Haitians, but for people all around the world. So it's not that we're not being mean, cruel, xenophobic. We're just saying if you want to come here, you have to come here legally. You have to play by the rules because so many other immigrants have done so.
Yeah. One of my high school classmates and one of my former colleagues in Senator Talent's St. Louis office, her church used to go down there, and she did it as well, would go down there once a year and would help build churches in Haiti. So, Americans are a compassionate people, but, we have to have compassion for our own folks first before we try to help others.
We still got plenty of problems here. The Democrats tell us about it all the time. It's mainly in the areas they run.
Tim, look who's on TV.
That would be our buddy Zach Smith. As usual, we only interview the best, the brightest, and the most important people in the planet. Zach Smith was on Newsmax 2 with Ed Henry, so that was pretty cool to see.
Talking about Supreme Court decisions.
Zach Smith, and I see people above your head all the time that we know as well, that we also interview on the program. Next segment, we're going to talk about all those Supreme Court opinions with our own resident legal eagle, and I'll help as well, Susie Moore. We had a whole bunch of rulings. You're going to like some of them. You're not going to like others. Susie will break all that down for us at 5:25. We're going to touch base again with Chris Sander at Powder Monkey Fireworks at 5:45, and Chris is going to tell us about the successor to Nancy Pelosi.
No, Nancy Pelosi's got a new gig.
Her thing is going to be
She's got
next.
a job lined up after she leaves, and I'm going to tell you what that is at the end of the show.
It's good that at 85 years old you're starting a new career,
Yeah, I guess.
Probably not when I hear it, right?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, without further ado, and in the time remaining here, how about we talk about the fact that it is not too late to save America, both nationally and here on the home front in the Show Me State of the great state of Missouri. Speaker Stump Speech.
Listen to me, listen to me.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
It's time for the Speaker's Stump Speech, sponsored by Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com.
Yeah. I think there's a bigger issue at play. So these candidates who are taking over the party, they want to abolish police. They want to abolish ICE. They also, some of them have even said that murderers shouldn't even have to go to prison. No deportations. Doesn't matter if you're illegal. Doesn't matter if you're a murderer. No deportations. They're playing on the emotions. And they're trying to talk about policies that they will never be able to deliver on. Or if they do get a foothold, it will destroy our cities from the inside out. We know that socialism does not work. It actually will harm more people than it benefits.
That was a young lady by the name of Tiffany Smiley, who is an entrepreneur, and she actually created a political action committee, putting her money where her mouth is, called the Endeavor PAC. She was on one of the big cable news networks talking about the fact that the Democrat Socialists of America, who have taken over the Democratic Party, they want to destroy it. And she was listing off all of their policy positions. Look, the Democratic Party these days is playing power politics. It's all about what power they can have so they can lord it over Americans. They don't have policy solution. Do you hear a policy solution in any of those platforms? Have you heard a policy solution come out of the mouth of any Democrat, right? They literally want to punish Donald Trump. They want to punish Republicans. They want to punish you, the American people, because you refuse to give 100% of your income and your rights and your freedoms and your liberties over to the federal government. That's the federal government they want to create. Thank God there's this little thing called the U.S. Constitution, I think largely standing in its way. Now, governing by executive order, which is unfortunately what we've largely done the last few decades, and I'll say that even as to, I love everything Donald Trump has done, but that's all illusory, right? It can come and go. We've seen ourselves whipsaw back and forth in the span of 8 years because Joe Biden signed a bunch of executive orders during his 4 years with the auto pen. and then what happened 4 years later? Well, we survived, thank goodness. And then Donald Trump pretty much reversed them all. God forbid Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, Ron DeSantis, some other great Republican doesn't win, and we've got President Newsom. Oh, it's just horrible to say. Guess what they'll do on day one? They'll reverse it all again, and we'll go through the same malaise and problems we had. Look, the war was terrible in the Middle East, right? I hope it's coming to an end. But did you notice that as bad as gas prices went, as bad as inflation ticked up a little bit, it was nowhere near what it was during the Biden administration. The media tried to make you believe it was, but inflation has only gotten as high as 4%. And many say when you look underneath the covers of like the daily kind of core inflation, some of our systemic inflation is actually back around 2%. And so we didn't experience the horrors of the Biden administration with inflation at nearly 10%, gas prices averaging nationally well over $5 a gallon and headed to $6 a gallon. And we did not experience the pain at the grocery store, et cetera, and so forth. Things are better. We went through a rough stage, but guess what? As soon as most of the fighting has been over and there's the chance for peace, Did you see how oil plummeted back down to around $70 a barrel? And I didn't even look today. It might even be below that. So we're heading in the right direction. The Democrats, if they gain power again, will rule by fiat, and it'll be a bad fiat for the United States of America. It seems like the only thing we get these days as far as governing is executive order or rulings from the judiciary. Congress seems to be completely and utterly paralyzed. However, there are some signs of life and some good news. We had a really good reconciliation bill, the One Big Beautiful Bill. They just passed Reconciliation 2.0, and they're even thinking about doing a 3.0, potentially with the SAVE Act, so important given in light of this one really bad Supreme Court decision that we will discuss later. You know, we also still have the states, right? And boy, are the states proving like never before that they truly are laboratories of democracy. You know, for folks who have maybe wondered, what exactly does that mean? I mean, what does that really look like in real life? Well, you're seeing it play out before you like never before. Between the extremes on both ends, you have got states that all Americans can look at side by side. You can compare what's happening in California and the rest of the left coast, Washington and Oregon, with the other left coast, New York, all the New England states, to the states like Texas and Florida and Tennessee and the Carolinas, especially South Carolina. You can look at what's going on as far as the renaissance that is occurring in the Midwest and the West, where governors of red states are doing everything they can to compete against each other. They're doing things like lowering and eliminating their income taxes. They're reducing regulations. I think now there's 16 or 17 states that have fully implemented universal school choice, something that used to only be the bailiwick of the Sunshine State of Florida. It used to be only Florida was doing these things. Well, these things have worked so well in states like Florida and Texas that the rest of the country, well, at least that part of the country governed by sane, normal people, which is basically Republicans these days, they started copying all those things, right? And the sincerest form of flattery is plagiarism, and I'm glad that there's governors who are plagiarizing the playbook of Florida, slashing the income tax, reducing regulations, implementing universal school choice. You're seeing all these states rise. Mississippi used to be the laughingstock of the country on so many metrics. Not any longer. There are billions of dollars of new investment flowing into Mississippi. There's been these bombshell reports that even the mainstream legacy media's had a report on as to the fact that K through 12 education scores in Mississippi have skyrocketed and dramatically improved. Mississippi has gone from bottom of the barrel to the top 10. We here in Missouri, we have some very important decisions to make. You've heard us talk about these things ad nauseum, but until we get somewhere near 100% voter turnout, we apparently have to remind everybody about this. Actually, you all are voting. You all listen to the show. You are probably in the classification of like the most extremely informed voter. What we need you to do is tell your friends about these important decisions on Missouri's ballot that will help us keep up with all the other states I mentioned. We have Amendment 4, which will protect Missouri's Constitution. From what, you may ask? If you've lived in this state for the last 10 years, to protect us from the left-wing billionaire really bad ideas. In our Constitution, we now have things like forced energy quotas, right? So I think there's like a 15% requirement for solar and wind. Oh, for the love of God, aren't we past that yet? Nope, it's in our Constitution. How about Medicaid expansion? Part of Chris's story today reminded me of another story I saw about the massive fraud that's in the Obamacare enrollment index. Medicaid expansion for able-bodied people, not for the social safety net. We were already 100% covering pregnant women, seniors, foster children, and anybody else that should be in that category. We were already covering them 100%. The Medicaid expansion encourages able-bodied Missourians to dump their private health insurance and jump into the state's Medicaid pool. Basically, let's add and create an expansion of the welfare state. How about marijuana? Even for the marijuana lovers out there in our audience, and we know we have a lot of libertarians out there, many of you have told us, like Epan Thampy, who's an expert in this area, that the marijuana provision was not something they wanted. It was created by the marijuana monopoly. It was designed only for them. And have you noticed there's a ton of problems with our marijuana expansion because it was done constitutionally. 48-page bill that had a 50-word summary that basically people saw the word marijuana and they voted yes. Now there's all sorts of problems of regulation and taxation. There's tons of litigation going on, all kinds of charges of graft and corruption and unfair dealing. Why? Because it was put in the Constitution through one of these, quote, citizen-led ballot initiatives. It's not citizen-led. It's never been citizen-led. It's left-wing billionaire-led. And now we have abortion on demand, transgender care. The parade of horribles goes on and on and on. How can we stop this? Voting yes for Amendment 4. I'm going to tell you something we never say. Do not listen to the ads on our station regarding Amendment 4. That was a business decision made by our station ownership. Many of us do not agree with it, but it is what it is. Those ads are blatantly deceptive. I've heard a couple lines in there that are absolutely, completely, and utterly false. And I can quote them chapter and verse to you if I had the script in front of me. Finally, Amendment 5. Providing an opportunity to finally eliminate our income tax, something we started about 10 years ago, and we've slowly been doing very successfully. That needs to put on steroids, and that's what Amendment 5 will do. It will eliminate our income tax. It'll help reduce local property taxes. Haven't we been wanting that forever? And it will encourage Missouri to grow again. We've flatlined here in Missouri, and many on the left will say, well, Republicans have been in charge for 20 years. Yeah, well, you Democrats were in charge for the 60 years before that. Missouri's been flat on its GDP and its population growth for many, 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 many decades. I would argue it's because we have not been Reagan Republican enough. Time to get rid of that income tax, time to reduce property taxes, time to update our sales tax code, make it more of a fair tax model, which many conservative economists say is the best way to run a railroad and a government. And let's get with the program that we're seeing play out in all of our bordering states, except for maybe the People's Republic of Illinois. Very important decisions. It's how we can save Missouri. It's how we can be part of saving America. Vote yes on 4 and 5 on Tuesday, August the 4th. And we can have this amazing constitutional republic live on for another 250 years. And that's the Speaker's stump speech for today.
Yeah, those anti-Amendment 4 ads are something else.
They really are, aren't they? At what point does it become so wrong that you just don't do it? I don't know. So, anywho, 5:24 in the p.m. Chris, we have not so much to talk about today. The show's gone so fast. We have got major Supreme Court decisions that came out today. And thank goodness Susie Moore is going to join us. She's going to help break all these down. Things on election integrity, on immigration, on executive power, and more.
Only on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show will you have two lawyers, not one, two lawyers dissecting these cases.
And we don't even charge you double. And finally, we'll wrap up the program with Chris Sander from Powder Monkey Fireworks. And Chris is going to tell us what the heck is Nancy Pelosi doing? She's not going out to pasture. 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. First Alert weather days all week for the intense and dangerous heat. This heat wave is going to last through Saturday. The cold front's going to try to push in by Sunday. Until then, a low of 77 and a high of 98. A little hotter, actually, for Tuesday. Sunny skies and a heat index anywhere from 105 to 110, both Tuesday and Wednesday. More sunshine and a high of 98 yet again for Wednesday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Looking to celebrate the 4th of July with a bang? Then look no further than Powder Monkey Fireworks. We've got bottle rockets, fountains, cakes, mortars. Our selection is endless with low prices and no gimmicks. Our friendly, knowledgeable staff will help you choose the perfect fireworks to make your holiday unforgettable. You'll go bananas at Powder Monkey, Highway 94 in St. Charles, on Westwood in Weldon Spring, and on Brendel in Rocky Mount. Don't want to fight the crowds? Order online at powdermonkeyfireworks.com.
Bill, that's a big smile for an old politician.
I'm thinking about our plan. It's slick enough to make a lobbyist blush. First, we hoodwink voters with Amendment 5. Tell them it's a tax cut. Once they're hooked, we decide who pays the higher taxes.
So it's not a tax cut plan, and we don't get a say?
Right, just swaps who pays the tax, but it does remove 3 voter-passed taxpayer constitutional protections. That lets us levy new taxes on services, increase sales taxes, and even tax home sales. And voters will no longer get to vote on tax hikes.
Higher sales taxes on groceries, gas, service taxes on doctor visits, childcare, and even rent on apartments. Jeez. taxes could exceed 20%.
Sure, they figure that up to 80% of taxpayers will pay more taxes. Many, hundreds more. Seniors, they'll get hit even harder. But our big donors will cut a fat hog.
The ones getting butchered by Amendment 5 are most taxpayers. I'm voting no on 5.
Paid for by Missourians for Fair Taxation.
Oh, Adam, you are so romantic. And I love the kitchen you found with all these great crumbs.
Yeah, baby. Only the finest crumbs in the kitchen for my favorite aunt. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Looking for a great place to play golf and host your next event? Sugar Creek Golf Course in High Ridge is more than just exceptional golf. Our clubhouse is the perfect spot for private parties, family get-togethers, and unforgettable celebrations. Make your special day even better with our welcoming atmosphere and outstanding service. Visit sugarcreekgolfcourse.com for more information. That's sugarcreekgolfcourse.com, where great golf and great memories meet. sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
Remember when food tasted like home? When breakfast was made from scratch and dessert was worth saving room for? At Shorty's Diner, we're serving up down-home breakfasts, lunches, and desserts just like Mom used to make. Fresh, from scratch, every single day. Step back in time with us, where the booths are cozy, Elvis is always in the building, and every plate feels like a hug. On Lackland and Westport, or online at shortysdiners.com. Shorty's Diner. It's not fancy. It's not fat-free. It's just the way it used to be.
This Susie Moore segment brought to you by Harpo's Bar and Grill in Chesterfield. You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Brass monkey, that funky monkey. Brass monkey, chunky, that funky monkey.
There will be no alteration to mail-in balloting procedures, timelines, and methods for the midterm election or any subsequent election unless Congress intervenes and changes existing law at the federal level to apply to all states. That is something President Trump is clearly pushing for, but the Supreme Court basically kept what exists in Mississippi and 13 other states on the books.
Oh, Susie Q, baby, I love you. Susie Q.
I'm the boss. How about that?
As she does on Monday afternoons, and thank goodness we have her today because we've had a ton of breaking news that we haven't been able to even get to yet because we've had a very busy show regarding the Supreme Court decisions that came out today. Susie, good afternoon. Welcome back to the program.
Well, good afternoon.
Susie, I'll let you play dealer's choice. There's a lot to talk about today. Which case would you like to discuss first? And tell us whether you found the ruling a surprise or not, and give us some of the details.
Well, I think it probably makes sense to start with the mail-in ballot voting one. And I don't know that I would say I find it terribly surprising. It's one of those where you've got kind of one of the things that this court is known for, and that is taking the narrowest path that it can. I think people are probably surprised by the alignment because you've got Amy Coney Barrett, the Chief Justice, with the three liberal justices, and so that is surprising. And obviously, the dissenters are not, they've got serious reservations about it. I think Alito's dissent pretty much says it all. I guess I can say that I can kind of see how they got where they got. I was maybe thinking they might go a different direction with it. But the bottom line is, this isn't like a constitutional ruling. It's basically just saying, look, the Congress can fix this. Of course, this is, this Congress, we can't seem to fix anything. But in theory, a theoretical Congress could fix this issue. And so, this is one of those where the court is exercising restraint that perhaps people wish it wouldn't exercise. But I'm not terribly shocked by it.
Susie, I got to tell you, I have mixed emotions on this. We're all concerned as conservatives about mail-in ballots and the fraud that's involved with it. But when I look at this case, every April 15th, you've got a mad rush of people going down to the post office downtown to make sure that their tax reforms are mailed in before the 15th, even though it doesn't get to the IRS till after that. I mean, can you make a similar case like that with these ballots? And then you've got situations where maybe troops overseas have mailed in their ballots and they are, checked before April 15th, but don't get there till later. We're potentially maybe disenfranchising military veterans. It's just, I don't know. I've got mixed emotions on this one.
I think you can make that argument, and the strongest argument for that is something that Tim can probably relate to, and that is for years, for centuries, I mean, there's been a legal import attached to using the mail service. Like something is considered legally mailed, legally sent in when it is postmarked, and that's true in all manner of different, scenarios. So to analogize it like you did, like with making your tax returns, I think is a pretty good analogy. The problem is that the use of mail-in voting has expanded so much beyond situations where you have someone who's disabled or who's overseas serving in the military, or someone who has a legitimate reason to be using mail as their mechanism for delivering their vote, as opposed to just voting in person, like people normally did for years and years and years until about 20 years ago. And you put on top of that the fact that you've got places like California that have these, as long as it's received within 21 days after the election, it's good. And it opens itself up to that criticism and that doubt. And so I do think it's something that can and should be addressed, but I think the court maybe isn't necessarily wrong by saying, okay, address this legislatively the way it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, Susie, and see, that's the point, right? And I totally understand. I totally understand the issues with the military and even some of our big states, right? Like Arizona, which is largely a desert, but a few people do live, in distant lands from Maricopa County, and you've got the Great West. I mean, we have these Alaska, right? And so there's problems. What you just argued, though, is what Alito and Gorsuch and Kavanaugh and Thomas argued. And I think, Susie, some of them actually issued public statements, which is not unheard of, but is rare. And Alito basically blasted the majority opinion and said all they've done is invite voter fraud into the system and put it on steroids. So the court was very divided on this and very passionate on it as well, weren't they?
They were, and I mean, that's not unusual. I mean, we've seen quite a few spirited decisions, it seems, of late. It's one of those, it's tough because I understand why people are upset by the decision, but I can kind of see how they got where they got. Mm-hmm. And I feel like once again, this is something that really the other branch, the legislative branch of the government should be the one addressing it. And unfortunately, they've been shirking their duties for far too long.
Yeah. Another case the court didn't decide, but is not as getting as much attention as the cases that were decided, was the court declined to consider the president's attempt to overturn the 2023 jury verdict against him from E. Jean Carroll. He owes her $5 million plus interest. They didn't provide an explanation. Why do you think that is? And is this the final thing? Is he going to have to pony up $5 million now?
Yeah, I mean, that's complicated because remember, there were two different cases, and one of them, the one that went to trial first, was actually the one that happened chronologically later. And that was the one in which it was based on something that he said after he was out of office. And then she kind of lumped into that the claim against him for the sexual battery, I think is what it ultimately came down to. But that one, so that the basis for overturning that verdict didn't have as much teeth to it as the larger verdict does. That other case that went to trial later and resulted in like an $83 million verdict, that one has a problem because it rose out of something he said while he was in office. And so there are all these additional issues involving whether or not that, means that he should have been shielded in some way. The office of the presidency should have been shielded, and whether or not the United States government can be subbed in as the defendant. There's all kinds of issues with that one.
Mm-hmm.
This one is kind of like, well, it went to trial. It didn't go his way. The jury found what they found, but there's not a lot there for the Supreme Court to actually take up. So I actually was going to write on that, and I just haven't had a chance today to do that. I don't know that we're going to see a whole lot more on that particular one, but that doesn't really end the issue because of the second case.
Mm-hmm. Susie, there was a huge victory for the executive branch and for the Trump administration in the Trump versus Slaughter case. That was a 6-3 decision, so right down jurisprudential lines, let's say, of the originalists versus the activists. The court expanded the president's removal power by ruling that the president of the United States can fire heads of independent agencies like the FTC. Now, Susie, in a companion case, they did block the president from firing Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, but that was only because there is a separate legal challenge playing out in the lower courts on the merits itself. So, Susie, isn't the overall takeaway from these two decisions is that the executive branch has been affirmed as having the ability to remove heads of executive branch agencies?
Yeah, it's complicated because the two cases, while so similar, are actually different because they involve different statutes and different setups in terms of how those people, how those agencies operate and that sort of thing. So there's different considerations here. The Slaughter case, the one that came first in the decisions today, and it really is a victory for the unitary executive and the separation of powers, and the executive basically recognizing that, look, these agencies and their leaders are basically, fulfilling executive functions. So he should have the ability, the president, whoever the president is, he or she, should have the ability to remove these leaders if they so choose. And so it did away with that 1935 case called Humphrey's Executor, which people may have heard mentioned in relation to these cases. It basically overruled that and said, that this is, and so it was a good ruling in the sense that it clearly delineates the difference between executive power and judicial power, and kind of lays that out. The Lisa Cook case is difficult or different because this isn't even, it's not on the merits. This is about whether or not the injunction that a lower court issued staying that decision should stay in place while they are hashing out the merits of it. So this isn't a merits decision in the Cook case, but it does recognize that there's a fundamental difference in terms of the Federal Reserve versus, for instance, the Federal Trade Commission and some of the other independent agencies.
Susie, Chief Justice John Roberts announced that tomorrow will be the final day for opinions. Is the last major decision left the birthright citizenship case? Are there any more?
Yeah, no, they're actually, all the remainders, the ones that are left are all big cases, but that's the biggest one, no question about it. And we know that's going to be probably what everyone's really talking about tomorrow. But there is one involving the, I think it's like NRC versus FEC, which has to do with campaign contributions, the limits on party contributions to campaigns. And then there's I think it's a duo, it's a combined case situation about transgender athletics, particularly in the high school realm, and whether or not Title IX means what it says or is supposed to be read broader than that to encompass the concept of gender identity. So that's going to be a big one from the culture war perspective, too.
Zach Smith never makes predictions here on the show, Susie, but I'm going to ask you, what's your prediction on the birthright citizenship case?
My prediction is that everyone's going to be pissed.
That's a good prediction.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to split the baby, and I think they're going to rule on it statutorily but not constitutionally, which I know it sounds like a lot of legal mumbo-jumbo, but I think they're going to end up with a decision that everyone looks at and goes, what?
And, Susie, do you expect the remaining cases that we've just discussed to come out tomorrow, or do you think they might hold some back for Thursday?
Yeah, Robert said this is
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
They'll all be done tomorrow.
All done.
The last day.
All right, just want to underline it. So everybody needs to listen very closely to all of our programs tomorrow because these cases will be coming out all morning long and into probably the early afternoon. People will be
No, they'll come out at 9 o'clock. They'll come out at 9 o'clock. Boom, boom, boom.
Well, what I meant was
they'll be
everybody will be digesting them all day long
Yes,
and analyzing
absolutely
them.
they will.
Yes, all day long. Because I'll bet you there's going to be some complicated legal nuance, especially in that birthright citizenship case. I would just bet on it.
There sure is, and we try to prepare. We try to get something kind of pre-written that accommodates being able to get a story out quickly, just to give the bare bones of it. But even that is very, very hard to do on these cases.
Mm-hmm. That's Susie Moore. You're going to listen to her tomorrow morning with Mike Ferguson. They'll be preparing for the final dump coming out of the Supreme Court, and they might get some breaking news during that program as well. Definitely listen to News Talk STL throughout the day. And then Susie's got Red State Radio every Sunday at 4 p.m. And, of course, you can always follow her at redstate.com. Susie, thanks so much for everything, as always.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
You too.
All right, there we go. Supreme Court term for the last cycle about to wrap up. And we've already heard that there's a bunch of major cases that are going to be argued next term as well when they start in the fall.
Yeah, they've got one dealing with mail-in ballots or proof of citizenship. I've got it here on
Yeah,
that.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, they agreed to take up an RNC-led appeal to review a lower court decision over whether Arizona can mandate a proof of citizenship requirement for those registering to vote. That's going to be next term.
Election integrity issues rage on. All right, when we come back, we are going to make a final touch with Chris Sander of Powder Monkey. They were the sponsor of the entire program today. We want to thank them for that. Check out Powder Monkey online. They are at powdermonkeyfireworks.com. We'll talk about all the great specials and deals they've got coming up as we head towards the Independence Day weekend holiday. And Chris is going to tell us what's Nancy Pelosi is up to next as well.
She will not be opening up a ice cream store. I'll tell you that. Will not be an ice cream store.
1019 941 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. First Alert weather days all week for the intense and dangerous heat. This heat wave's going to last through Saturday. A cold front's going to try to push in by Sunday. Until then, a low of 77 and a high of 98. A little hotter, actually, for Tuesday. Sunny skies and a heat index anywhere from 105 to 110, both Tuesday and Wednesday. More sunshine and a high of 98 yet again for Wednesday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime.
News Talk STL right on my phone.
Anywhere.
CorrellRoofingCompany.com. That's CORRELL. CorrellRoofingCo.com. CorrellRoofingCo.com. 2 R's, 2 L's in Correll. Correll is a locally owned, independently owned, family-owned company that I know personally. I really do. I know sometimes people may just say that on the air. I know Curtis Correll personally. I know his family. They're wonderful people. They're great Americans. They all live in the county of St. Charles. That's where the business is located. But Correll Roofing Co. services the entire eastern Missouri seaboard, as we say. Yes, all of St. Louis County, the surrounding region, St. Charles County, the surrounding region. And they want to be your favorite roofing company because they are ours as well. 20-plus years. They're in their Curtis Correll is in his 3rd decade of roofing. And that way he has the know-how and the experience to get the job done right the first time. Set up his own company several years ago. They're doing great, and they'd love to have more News Talk STL business as well. So when you call them, when you schedule an appointment or inspection, say, News Talk STL sent you. Please do that so they know that their advertising is working. They believe in our station because, like I said, they're great Americans. They have great principles and a philosophy. But, of course, we'd like to, give them as many people as possible. Correll Roofing Company is really fantastic. They not only can take care of your roof, they can take care of your siding and your gutters as well. They do such great work with all that. You go to Curtis Correll's, go to the Correll Roofing Company headquarters in St. Charles, and you'll see they got a giant mock-up of a home. It's like the top of the roof, and it's really cool. You can see how the shingles are put on and the materials and all that and so much more. They'll work with your insurance company. They'll make sure that everything's taken care of on the front end. They'll work with you through the entire project, make sure everything is done absolutely perfectly. and they want to be your favorite roofing company as well. Curtis Carrell and the whole gang at Carrell Roofing Company standing by to take care of you today. CarrellRoofingCo.com. That's CarrellRoofingCo.com.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. We're sitting here with our great friend, Chris Cooper. Hi, Chris.
What's going on, Vic? How are you?
I hear you wrote another book. This one's an e-book. Is that right?
The Business Owner's Playbook for Financial Clarity. So it is a great book for entrepreneurs. It's a very short guide. Give people, business owners, the ability to understand key questions that are important, such as succession planning, legacy planning, getting the IRS out of our pockets, right? Because do you like paying taxes?
I do not.
I don't think anybody likes paying taxes, right? That just makes sense. And then always talking about protection. And then the other thing from a business owner perspective, what is the biggest asset a business owner has? Probably their business itself, right? We need to make sure we understand what the value of that business is as well.
So this new book, I'm sure, is incredibly expensive, right? How much?
No, it's a free resource.
Oh, it's free.
We provide guidance, we provide education because we want to make sure people feel educated and understanding because sometimes you don't know what questions to ask, and we need to make sure we help arm people with information to ask the right question.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Summer's here, and so is the freshest produce in town. At Anthony's Produce, we specialize in locally grown fruits and vegetables, straight from the farm to your table. Homegrown tomatoes, sweet corn, juicy cantaloupe, watermelon, and peaches, just to name a few. Plus, thousands of locally made products you won't find anywhere else. Need a fruit or vegetable tray for your next gathering? We've got you covered. Anthony's Produce on Jungerman Road or at anthonysproduce.com. Open 7 days a week.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
You work hard, follow the rules, and get absolutely slammed by taxes. Your paycheck, taxed. Your property, taxed. Everything you buy, taxed. Missouri's tax system isn't broken, it's rigged against you. The lawyers and lobbyists working for big corporations and the super rich buried over 200 loopholes for themselves in our tax code. While they pay nothing on the services they use, working families are taxed over and over. It's no wonder they're lying about Amendment 5. Our corrupt tax system is rigged in their favor. They're getting a free ride on your back. Don't believe their lies. The truth is, Amendment 5 closes loopholes exploited by the super rich and slashes taxes paid by Missouri's working families, phasing out income taxes and cutting property taxes. They finally pay what they owe while you keep what you earn. Vote yes on Amendment 5, paid for by Missouri Promise PAC.
You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Box after box of fireworks pulled from a vacant North St. Louis home.
Detectives recovered more than 3,000 pounds of fireworks. The fireworks were stacked ceiling to floor, filling every room of the house. This individual was selling it from the house like he had opened up his own market.
Sorari Watson is also charged with a felony, accused of bypassing the meter to get electricity to the house.
5:50 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show. And Tim, there's another Darwin Award winner there.
Yes.
Luckily, he didn't blow himself up in the entire neighborhood. But look, don't buy your fireworks from a guy that disabled Ameren Electricity and selling them from your house. Go to Chris Sander at Powder Monkey Fireworks. You get a good deal, and you don't have to worry about breaking the law. Right, Chris?
Right, yeah, we set up and we're inspected, we're insured, and we've got people that are trained on fire extinguishers, and we're all safe here, and we like to make our customers safe.
There you go.
Chris, we would telling the folks about Powder Monkey all show long, directing them to the website, powdermonkeyfireworks.com, telling them you've got 3 locations, 2 in the great county of St. Charles and 1 at the Lake of the Ozarks if they're heading to the lake house for the weekend. Chris, tell the folks again, what are some of the most popular items this year?
Yeah, take a look at the best sellers. Right now it'd be Excalibur, which is 24-pack artillery. So people are buying the reloadable artillery shells. Maybe they're going to light one every hour on the July 4th. I don't know. And then I got the list here. But, yeah, everything's popular here. Just come on in.
You got all that. You got all the 250 stuff this year, right?
Bling Bling is one. Like every tent sells Bling Bling. That's always the number one 200-gram cake, yeah. But the 250th American anniversary, we've got like 250 items that are right by the front door when you walk in. If you just want to get something, you're going to a family or neighbor or friend for a party, 4th of July, just come in and get something to bring and show your support and love for America.
Yeah. Chris, what's the granddaddy of them all firework that you buy this thing, you know, all the neighbors are going to come out of their house and you're going to be the man for the next year? What's that called?
We have these 7-inch artillery shells. They're called killer torpedoes, and that is like going to be sold out in the next day or two, I think, because I ordered what I could get, and somebody came in the other day and got a whole shopping cart full. Wow. They're 24-pack artillery, but they're 7 inches, and they're 60 grams of shell, but they look great when you light them.
What's the price on something like that?
Those are like $150 for a 24-pack, but the Excalibur I was talking about, those are $90 for a 24-pack. We've got some artillery that are like $10 for a 6-pack. So the price is right for whatever you're looking for. It's a pretty big range. All the 500 grams start at like $15. There's places advertise $20 500 grams. We have some for $15 and $17.76 each. Patriotic pricing there.
Yeah. Speaking with Chris Sander at Powder Monkey Fireworks. They sponsored the entire show today. We thank them very much for that. Chris, give our listeners an idea. How large is the fireworks industry in the United States of America? It's a pretty huge operation, isn't it? Provides a lot of jobs.
Yes, billions of dollars, and all consumer fireworks in the whole world are made in China. They're imported here. They have the safety and testing. There's actually no testing people located here in America for consumer fireworks. All the American testing agents are all in China, so they make it and produce it. But what you do have here in America is all the stuff made for shows and displays and large shells and things that are not easily transported across the world. What comes from China is like your bottle rockets, your tanks, your little things like that, mass-produced. But if you want, I've done an American-made, Missouri fireworks-made show in Jeff City when I was legislator for the softball charity tournament. But in America and in Missouri, we make fireworks, but it's all stuff that is like 6 to 8 inch shells, like huge things that you can't just put on a shipping vessel on a boat on the ocean and send across the world. Some of these things are so large that it doesn't really go through customs very well, or on the rail or on the boat. So big things are made here. All the little things are made in China.
Chris, we've been scratching our heads all show and trying to figure out how you came up with the name Powder Monkey. Give us the story behind that.
Yeah, I've actually got a Civil War cannon that I own. I bought it from my uncle. I did Civil War reenacting at Frontier Park in St. Charles and Pilot Knob and all different places around Missouri that was Civil War battles. I was a Union reenactor, just anybody wondering. My family and I would go camping and reenacting, but I was the Powder Monkey on this cannon that I own. I bought it from my uncle. It's in the tent at the Newtown location. But a powder monkey is somebody in the military who delivers the powder to the people that need it. So I figured it's a great name for a firework business because people need powder and fireworks for 4th of July, and I'm delivering it to them. And it's similar to what somebody in the Civil War or even military nowadays they call powder monkey, like somebody who's like a ammunition supplier. They may bring, whatever the gunner or the front line man needs. Because you don't just carry it all around with you. They keep it in a storage bunker somewhere, and then they bring it a little at a time as they need it. And that's what a powder monkey is, somebody that moving fireworks at Pat.
And did they call them Powder Monkey because they were like taking the most chances by carrying around gunpowder like that? So they called them a monkey, Powder Monkey.
Yeah, it was often like kids that would do it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like, they're not old enough to be trained and march in the military in the Civil War. It would have been like 5 to 10-year-olds or 12-year-olds, and
Got
they
it.
were helping
Got
with
it.
their uncles and their dads and their families.
Chris, we're running out of time, but I want you to give folks the website where they can go and the locations.
For sure, yeah. Visit powdermonkeyfireworks.com, and you can shop there, place an order, and then come pick it up at our tents. Our stores are at Weldon Spring on Highway 94, and then Newtown in St. Charles on Highway 94 at Highway B, and then we have Lake of the Ozarks. We're doing a Kona Ice here tomorrow at Weldon Spring from 7 to 9. Come out and get some free snow cone, and then on Friday, July 3rd, 1 to 3 at Newtown, we'll do Kona Ice over there. But it's 100 degrees out, so come get some snow cones.
And that's Chris Sander, owner of Powder Monkey Fireworks, powdermonkeyfireworks.com, Sander for Missouri.com. Chris, thank you so much, and have a happy 4th of July, and thank you for sponsoring the program. Next is Larry Connors USA, the story behind the story when Larry of all people, had to censor himself. You've been listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Drive safe and have a great evening.
Hi, Sandy. What's that? I'm reading up on this Amendment 4 on the August ballot. What's 4? Amendment 4 absurdly creates a new un-American minority veto power, but